PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Anthony Pyatt about Descendants, The Rise of Red. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for having me.
I mean, it's really exciting. It's crazy, man. You film this movie, you wait, it's out. You have that big premiere, goes on Disney Plus, recently on Disney Channel. How are you feeling about everything? It's crazy, right? Because you film it and you don't really know.
It's a ride, dude. It's really exciting, man. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, in as we call it, the House of Mouse.
Yep.
So this is like beyond what I ever could have imagined of finally getting to be a part of the Disney family.
It's so crazy. And it's so nuts because I feel like you can prepare yourself, but I feel like at the same time you can't, because it's like anyone that watches it, it's a machine, right? There's like singing, dancing, the costumes, there's so many colors, so many blasts for the past characters. Like, did you feel like there were days where it's like, before actually filming it, like, wow, like how can I actually like even prepare for something like this? You know what I mean?
Totally. How do you prepare for something you've never experienced? I mean, I've been cracking at this for a long time, but like I've done my musical theater productions and I've done my television and film productions, but I've never mashed the two together.
Yeah.
I remember like day 4 of rehearsals in dancing before we started filming, where we were all like feeling it. We're like, oh my gosh. But we were so lucky that once we arrived, especially me and the VKs, we gelled, and it was like going to summer camp in the colder months. It was fun.
Well, I kind of want to know about that because, so much happens before you actually go to camera on this film. Because I can't even imagine. You see a lot of the BTS, and there's so many kind of discussions and everything, and figuring out the costumes. And we will get to that hair, because that hair is fantastic. But like in a lot of ways, from an acting storytelling perspective, you can look at it as two journeys, right? Before filming a Descendants film, and then after filming a Descendants film. Or for you, does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps? I'm curious about that.
Oh, it's definitely been phases, chapters, catching up to the reality of, oh my gosh, I booked a really exciting job and I want to do a good job, to all of the preparation, the surreal ride that is filming, where you're looking around and everything's bright, big colors and huge cameras and production, and that's fun. And then the waiting period, the post-production of like sitting on a very exciting, almost secret, I would say.
Yeah.
And then seeing it all come to fruition on screen, and then the reaction from people. I don't know that I could have foreseen just how much people were going to love it and love Hades and Maleficent. And it's been phases, and even phases of getting little tastes of what being a part of this looks like, like you're in front of a lot of opinions, and it definitely puts you in a position to get real solid with like yourself, you know?
Absolutely. It's interesting too, because I also remember when like yourself, Peter, Grace, like when you were announced that you were joining, and that was just kind of like its own thing, right? Like,
oh man, the day the casting dropped, my phone it didn't stop buzzing. And that's not an exaggeration. I had to like put it down because it wasn't like notification.
Just like, and the thing is, it's
like,
depending on what app you're using, right? If it's on Instagram, you're on Instagram, and then people are texting you. People might be WhatsApp. Like it's so true to think about.
All of it. It's like a tsunami.
There's like many ways of people to contact you in this generation, if you think about it, like different apps.
Yeah. I guess I'm just grateful that if it was going to be like a tsunami of contact, that it was an overwhelming wave of positivity.
Absolutely, 100%. And I want to know about the audition process quickly. I feel like that's a question you're going to be asked a lot. But like, did you audition for Hades?
I did. Okay. Of course, as you probably know through the other interviews, it was under the code name Pocket Watch back then. And as a working auditioning actor, you get auditions all the time. And unless it's really big and loud and in your face with a project title, you're not quite sure 100% of the time what you're auditioning for. So some of the quick stories behind my audition process was the "We Could Burn Her to a Crisp" line was all I got. was all I got. I did that line so many different ways, upwards of 8 to 10 different, like when people joke about actors trying their line this way and trying their line that way. That was it. And there was, singing and dancing portions. Of course, getting to do the callback in the room with Jen Pong, the director, was really awesome. And then I was very lucky to get a phone call from Lisa Mae Cannon, one of the casting directors. And she was like, I'm never going to tell another actor this as long as I live. She's like, you're in the middle of a music number and I need you to be big and I need you to be splashy. And that was news to me. I was like, oh, I had no idea. Let's go back to the drawing board. So we go back home and tape it again. And that's what Disney needed to see. And I got a call from my agent while I was in Target. And
that's how it is. You're at Target just getting something, and it's like, oh yeah, you booked a Descendants.
You're staring at sheets, and you're like, your life's about to change, and you're like, yeah, that's my brain will catch up to that eventually.
100%. No, it's totally. Is it time? Can we talk about that hair? Is it time to talk about the hair?
It's time.
I think
we got to do it.
That hair's like a character, like its own character. This 80s. That hair has
got its own life. It's got its own life. Actually, right here on the other side of the glass door, I'm in the patio of my house at the moment. But they had a local artist come by and wrap my head in cellophane and tape and trace my hairline and pop it off and send it off to somebody to make the wig look like my hairline, which was super dope.
Yeah.
It was very strange before I'd ever tried it on to be, going through the processes of costume approval and all that, and to like look over on a mannequin and like, that's my hairline I've been staring at my whole life.
That's an exclusive here for people that, if there were some people maybe wondering whether it was your hair or a wig, it's a wig.
Yeah, it's a wig. It's a wig for sure. They did some very, very talented wig artists whom I have not been acquainted with yet threaded it to look exactly like my hairline, and that was very cool and very talented of them.
Oh, man, and
then I remember the moment of like, I tried on the costume, I was like, this is super cool. And then the first time I put on the wig and walked out to approval, and it was like, it's very rare in my life I've walked into a room where it fell into silence.
Well, I mean, I feel like that would, if it was your natural hair, you'd have to grow that out, and then they'd have to like put it. Yeah, because I know there's other shows. Like I do remember, like Jacob Bertrand on Cobra Kai, he talks about this all the time. At some point, it was a wig, but before, like early on, like the mohawk, like was his hair. You know what I mean? Yeah, but like I feel like you have to like grow that out, right? Because I feel like some people don't realize that it's like the people who have mohawks too. It's like there's a lot of hair there.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick funny story about that. It was like the first time they ever put the wig on me, it was so tight that I couldn't fully emote. And being a villain, there's a lot of this going on.
Yeah.
And so I had to get in the habit when they would put the wig on of sitting in the chair for about 45 minutes to an hour like this. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of days I would have a headache from just frowning for 45 minutes. So if I can take that as a learning lesson to anyone else in the world, try to frown less. I'm not telling you to smile more, but I'm telling you if you're frowning a lot, it'll probably lead to headaches.
Well, that showdown between like the villains and that showdown where we first meet your characters, right? Like you break into that song and you have your version and everything, and you're just like, you're all like so energetic, and you are so mad. Like you don't want to be there at all. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm in it, baby. I mean, if all we knew of Hades before was I used to be a god, this was my chance to be like, well, now I am.
Yeah.
What is that like? What is that like as him as like a teenager in school?
So I find this interesting because you talked about the whole. I find that so interesting, that whole kind of steps of the audition and finding out you got it and everything. You know what I mean? Shout out to Target. But like, no, but it's just like, it's interesting, right? Because I'm wondering if you ever thought about this or talked to your team about this or talked to casting directors about this. Like, you're in a unique situation, right? Because like we know Hades, we've seen that character before, but we've never seen that character we've never seen this character like this in a way we've seen before, right? This is a young Hades and everything. Do you think about the fact that it's like you're in there's familiar territory and unfamiliar territory with everyone going on Descendants: The Rise of Red? Like what's going on, but at the same time you don't. You know what I mean by that? I find that really interesting.
The whole time, yeah. That's a great way to put it. you know, you have a lot of honor and responsibility and duty to the world and the characters that already exist and the fans that know and love those characters in that world. But then you have this whole realm of making it your own. And there's a lot of exciting freedom that I would argue, at least in my experience, it was certainly helpful that, like, you know, there was a platform to begin on of like, okay, here's what we know about the character, and then for everything else I got to fill in the blanks. It got to be me. It's you know,
absolutely. But it's cool, right? Because there is, like, it feels like it's fun because it's like there's this whole new world that can be introduced, right? Like, we don't know kind of much about these characters. I remember, you know, Peter's been saying this in a lot. Like, I don't think we've ever seen like Morgie's like a new character, right?
Brand new.
Oh man, it's crazy. What is your mindset like bringing past concepts, characters, projects to something like Descendants, Rise of Red? Like, how separate are these projects for you? Like, you work on stuff, you mentioned musical theater, other acting things, you work on those. Are those kind of separate as soon as they wrap, or do you bring things from those kind of experiences, preparation, to something like Descendants, Rise of Red? I'm just curious about that.
Great question. I don't know that I can speak for all actors, but for me, 100% of the time, just like, you know, art imitates life and vice versa, with every new project and every new character, I am building more pieces onto my personality and my knowledge and my experience, and there's always useful things to come from it. And there are useful things that I have learned through experience from being a part of the Descendants franchise that will always be a part of me for the rest of my days and will likely influence my character choices in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting to think about, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all storytelling, right? It's just you're telling a different story. Because I find that like really cool because you have like there's so much genre bending happening out there too, right?
Yes.
So it's like you could be cast for like a horror movie, right? And Descendants Rise of Red wasn't a horror movie, but you did play a villain.
Yeah,
so
it's got elements of all of it. Yeah. And you know, naturally, you know, I'm surrounded by a lot of very talented actors and peers and friends of mine, and it's really fun to hear their perspective, you know, in support and watching it, coming back and seeing what they see. And I was just sitting with a very talented friend yesterday, and she was telling me, you know, like, oh, I loved where you were at with the genre of the musical, and how, you know, like, you get to have your subtle moments and you get to have your big splashy moments and finding the nuance of that. And I gotta be honest with you, I would attest a lot of that to the editor.
Yeah.
Like, the editor, I think, did me a lot of favors, you know, because, you know, you're there 10, 14 hours a day, you know, making choices, and some things work and some things don't. And it's really a gift between the production team and the director and the editors to be able to sit with everything you did and piece it together in this story that that takes the work that you did and elevate it. And I'm very grateful for that.
You wait, and then you book a Disney villain on a Disney Plus and Disney Channel movie, part of one of the biggest, you know, Disney franchises out there. Yeah. The scale of the movies speak for itself. The costume, the production designs, that's like its own thing. The global impact is something that is so amazing to see of these films. The fact that there are fans from all around the world that are waiting to watch these films. What can you say so far about your experience kind of seeing that global reception of the film?
How do I speak to a global impact as one person in a couple sentences? It's become immediately clear to me just how much these characters and these stories mean to people. And there is a broad spectrum of meaning, you know. For some people, it's validation. For others, it's fulfillment. For others, it's escapism. For some people, it's dreams becoming reality. And when you decide to be an actor and you get into doing this kind of art and you get into this kind of business, it's a luck of the draw. You know, you never know what you're going to get. And to to have been given the opportunity to be a part of something that already meant so much to people and is already immediately becoming so meaningful to so much more, is a gift. I'm very much of the mindset that to be an actor and to tell stories is an act of service. We do a lot of things for people. We help them connect to emotions. We help them escape. We help tell stories. We help start conversations. And I can't imagine a better way to kind of do all of those things in one fell swoop than to be a part of this franchise.
Absolutely. And, Descendants, The Rise of Red, streaming on Disney Plus and recently premiered on Disney Channel. So there's a lot of ways people can check it out. Anthony, so great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. I wanted to get my own little Disney ID in there.
Yeah.
First time I've ever done that anywhere, and that's with you on Pop Alternative.
That's an exclusive. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the show, Peter and Pop Alternative. This is really cool and really refreshing, and I'm so excited to share in this joy with you and unpack it a bit.
Absolutely. No, it's amazing. And you have an Instagram account. It's just your name if people want to keep up to date with everything.
Yes, my Instagram is Pyatt Forward. So it's my last name, Pyatt Forward.
Top. That's a great handle. I noticed though, when you work in this industry, you work in like social media, you notice those things. They stand out because you're seeing so many accounts. So when you have a really good account like that, like a really good Pyatt Forward, you're like, yes, that's great. I like that.
I'm grateful for it. I think it was suggested to me by a jazz pianist teacher I had when I was like 14 that I was still in touch with. And I was like, hey guys, I'm going to try this Instagram thing. What do I do? And someone threw that out and I was like, oh, I love that. And it's one of those things that has really evolved in its meaning for me over time as my life and my career blossom. So I'm happy to pay it forward.
Great handle on Instagram. Great performance as Hades in Descendants, The Rise of Red, man. Congratulations. Honestly, that's amazing. Well, this has been Pop Alternative, youtube.com/Pop Alternative for previous episodes. You can catch Anthony Pyatt as Hades in Descendants, The Rise of Red on Disney Plus and Disney Channel. Until next time, this is Anthony and Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Alternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Alternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.